Well, good morning, everyone. Appreciate everyone accommodating our rescheduled meetings this morning. We have a short agenda for our Economic Development Corporation meeting, so we're going to kick it off with that, and then we'll transition to our Brownfield Authority meeting. So the time is 8:32. I will call our EDC meeting to order. Our first item is approval of our minutes from the September 25, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, interim financial statements as of October 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Jess?
All right. Good morning, everyone. So Trisha's not able to be here this morning, so I'm going to do my best to speak in her place. So with the EDC, not a ton of activity as you're used to, but just wanted to note a couple of things that you're about 30% of the way through your budget with about, just over 6 months left of the fiscal year. You'll remember maybe a few months ago, we brought forward a request for a Salesforce allocation for us to update our applications. So we have paid for that already through the EDC funds, and that project is nearing completion, which is really exciting. And then another thing just to note too, so NEZ fees are significantly higher than what we budgeted for, which is great. And we're expecting that to continue to increase over the next couple months. Any questions?
Are there any specific projects that you might want to comment on the NEZ application fees?
I can comment on those at the Brownfield meeting. We have two that will be coming before you.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Jess? Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our one and only action item is approval of our 2025 meeting schedule. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
All right, nothing major to comment here other than that we've sort of decided 4 meetings a year makes sense for the EDC, just kind of given the activity going on. And then with the land bank scheduling, we don't want to have 3 meetings in a month like we are today. So we're just trying to kind of offset that. And just as an FYI, the budget for EDC will be coming before you at the February meeting. So just maybe about a month earlier than normal.
Thanks, Jess. Any comments or questions on our schedule? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, other business is elections of our 2025 officers.
All right, so this is not an action item. So this is just a brief discussion. So typically what we do in the month of December is we take nominations from the board members to fill a slate of officers. So as a reminder, you have a chairperson, vice chairperson, secretary, and treasurer. So Jeff is the chair, Lynn is the vice chair, Christine is the secretary, and then Troy is the treasurer currently. If those officers would like to stay in those roles, they are eligible to do so if you would like to keep the same officers, or you can also nominate others or step away from that. It's completely up to you. So we can discuss that here. Otherwise, Chad will typically send an email out after this meeting to gather nominations for vote in January. Questions?
Thanks, Jess. Any discussion on that?
I would just say if the current slate is still interested, I would be very supportive of that slate. I haven't heard of anybody else who's interested, and I think you all have been doing a really great job, so thank you for that service as well.
Thank you, Commissioner. I would continue if the board would have me.
Ditto.
Same.
Same?
Me too.
And same, so make it easy.
Unless somebody else wants a check. You sure? Keep doing your thing.
All right. Well, appreciate the support.
Yeah, thank you.
So we will hold that actual election at the
January 22nd.
meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. Or
And as a
February.
reminder, all three boards, so those officers apply to all three boards now. So that's just a reminder.
Last chance to back out. Okay, thank you, Jess. All right, moving on to public comment. All right, hearing none. I will adjourn our meeting. Thanks so much. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting. Do I have any excused absences?
Guillermo Cisneros and Martin Uchendu are both. Let us know they will not be here.
Thank you. Apparently we have to, I forgot the motion part of that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, any public comment on agenda items? All right, hearing none, we will move to any conflicts of interest. All right. Next item is approval of our minutes from the October 16, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion, comments, edits?
No.
All right. Here,
Just support.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
Support.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item is approval of our interim financial statements as of October 31, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Support.
Jess?
All right. So not a ton to report, other than that the majority of the developer reimbursements from the summer taxes went out. So about $11.3 million went out the door over the last couple of months, thanks to our wonderful partner departments and Christian and Chad's work as well. So far, you've spent about 66% of your budget for the remaining portion of the fiscal year. And then I just also wanted to note that on your LBRF, which is on, so statement A, so the line that says reserve for encumbrances approved project grants. So there's a number of projects that have been approved over the last couple months, emerging developer grants in particular, that we are still working to encumber with agreements. So that number will likely go up in the next, like on your next statements. So I just wanted to make that note. Otherwise, that's kind of all there is to report, and I'm happy to take any questions or try to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Jess. Any questions or comments for Jess? Mr. Treasurer?
There are none.
Oh, I have one other thing.
Okay.
I did ask Tricia for an update on the audit, because I know that's been on the top of folks' minds. It sounds like that is wrapping up in the next week, so probably we'll have an update for you January, February timeline on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving to our action items. Our first item is an emerging developer grant in an amount not to exceed $53,500 for a project located at 1032 Martin Luther King Jr. Street, Southeast. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Jess?
All right, so the request, as mentioned, is for an emerging developer grant for the property at 1032 Martin Luther King Jr. Street Southeast. The applicant is the property owner, Laura Shivis-Scott, who plans to rehab the existing two-story building, and it's obsolete building, I should say, and include up to 5 apartments. Planned at this point for 1 bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom, and the units on the first floor are planned to be live-work units. They're seeking a grant of approximately, just like Jeff said, $53,500 for pre-development costs that include site evaluation, some pre-development consulting, architectural and site planning, as well as structural evaluation. The applicant is being supported by Sella Building Company, Peter Scornia in particular, who you are very familiar with at this point, who's been, really helping a lot of our emerging developers with this particular grant and other projects. So the applicant does currently own the property and will continue to own the property after it's completed. And then just one other thing to note with this one is that we are also planning to support this with an obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate. And right now I'm going to ask Laura and Peter to come up and share some additional detail.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Peter Scornia with Sella Building Company. I met Laura several months ago and had an opportunity to get to know her, look at this building and the project, and there's just so much opportunity here. I can't help but share. I'm thinking back to physics of a ball at the top of there's all this potential energy in this project, but right now it just sits there. And Laura has been maintaining the building but not able to get anything out of it. And this grant is just that little push to get it started. And so very excited to be part of this.
Yes, hi, my name is Laura Chivas Scott, and I purchased this property back in 2017 with my husband, who unfortunately passed away from COVID. He was working on the interior, getting it going. We had a lot going on in there. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to complete it. So me, Peter, and different commissioners been working together to see how we can make this happen and also be an improvement to the community as a whole,
Nice.
So that's all I have to say right now.
Questions?
Do you have something?
Good, Jeff. Do you have any questions? Sorry, that's it. Do you have any questions?
No, well, thank you so much for putting some effort and taking a little risk on this. And, again, we're in a position to leverage our resources to help foster projects like this. And I appreciate you having the courage, the confidence, and the support to be able to move ahead with it. So
Thank you.
any other comments or questions for applicant?
I have just a quick question. Thank you for your work on this, and this is a really exciting project, a great building, and in such an important walkable location. How did you hear about the program?
This program here,
Yeah.
I've been kind of reading. We had some little meetings, me and Commissioner Ben and different other community people that had projects, and it was kind of different grants, and I've been studying the state, different things. So that's how we kind of got a hold of this one, and there's others we're interested in too. So,
Good,
yeah.
good. Yeah, well, we hope we can continue to expand this program and support our community members, our emerging developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have one comment. First of all, incredibly sorry for your loss, and what an incredible tribute to keep this project moving. And just really want to applaud the work, especially around the target of keeping the rents so low at 60% AMI. That is incredible, and that is desperately needed in the community, and developers like you are making that possible through these projects. So just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate the discussion. So we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, our next action item is a resolution approving and recommending a Brownfield plan amendment for I think that's Adobe, West.
Abode.
Oh, Abode, I'm sorry, okay. I am wearing my glasses. the Abode West Fulton Redevelopment Project.
The same thing.
Located at 617 Fulton Street West and 17 Seward Avenue Northwest. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
It's confusing because it's where Adobe is, right? So it totally makes sense. All right. All right, so this next project is being proposed by Abode Fulton LLC, which is an entity that's affiliated with Construction Simplified. So as I just mentioned, you're, I'm sure, very familiar with this property. It's where Adobe In-N-Out currently sits near Grand Valley's Pew campus. The Adobe building, as well as the vacant building that's at 17 Seward, will be demolished, and they are planning to construct a new 4-story structure. And don't worry, Adobe is moving to Bridge Street, I believe, so it's not going too far. So as planned, the building will have up to 106 apartments, which will be a mixture of studio and 1-bedrooms, with proposed rents currently between 90 and 100% AMI. The project will also include just over 5,000 square feet of retail and commercial space, which will be split into 3 units. And then there's also planned to be 53 parking spaces that will be behind the building. Project costs are estimated at $25 million, with construction costs of about $20.6 million. The development team is seeking reimbursement for traditional brownfield activities that include demolition and site assessment, site preparation, lead and asbestos abatement, and then public infrastructure improvements that total just over $3 million. It's expected the developer will be reimbursed after 14 years, and the amendment will remain in place for 19 for the LBRF capture. The developer is also participating in the inclusion plan, and they have set goals of approximately 17% or $3.6 million of the construction costs. And then it's also expected that the project will generate up to 12 full-time equivalent jobs to be created by the future tenants of those commercial spaces. Another item to note too, just for transparency's sake, so you'll see here, there's a little bit of a drive-through going through there that is currently, needs to go through the planning commission process. And so we're just noting that here, that if that for any reason were not to move forward, the project is not going to change significantly to the point that eligible activities would change or anything like that. So I just wanted to make that note. And then, as I mentioned in the EDC meeting, this is one of the 2 new NEZ applications that will also be considered alongside the Brownfield plan at the City Commission level. So now I'm going to ask Brent Gibson and Jared Lutz from Michigan Growth Advisors to come up.
Thanks, Josh.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Brent Gibson, President, Construction Simplified. Our office is directly west of this location, and we've been intentional about placing our new office there with the idea of engaging West Fulton, knowing it's really the beginning of the intersection of the neighborhood. West Fulton, my first office was there 8 years ago, further west, and just saw a lot of potential. And unfortunately, that hasn't really taken off, I think, with some of the other developments around the area. And this should help start catalyzing and moving west. So excited to bring this, I'll say, right size and appropriate to the neighborhood. We designed it so it's not just one big building, so it tries to fit in. It's also engaging, and we have a mix of studios and 1-beds for the expected student population that probably wants to reside here. So any specific questions, I'm a contractor at heart, community guy, so I'll answer anything you might have. So thank you for your support.
Good morning, folks. My name is Jared Lutz. I'm with Michigan Growth Advisors. We worked with Brent and his team drafting this plan and modeling it, so I can handle any technical questions you may have on the plan or the model, but I'll defer all the questions about the project to Brian here. So please.
Any questions or comments for our applicant? Go ahead, Mark.
The area that Jess referred to as a drive-through, would that be for a restaurant, right?
Yeah, the intent is the corner, the southeast corner. We're trying to get a high-profile tenant there, bringing the traffic for a drive-through further north, the northern boundary, and down. It'll also act as a service drive to the dumpsters and everything in the very northern part of the property. So that's why her comment of if it didn't pass, which it's a, as Kristen Turkelson said, it's a slight SLU approval. It's not a full, it's just for the drive-through shifting it because there's already one on site. So we're conducting a traffic study right now. It's a slight modification, I think, is maybe what she used, based on the use going from a taco shop to something else.
I was wondering why you had to go back through the process.
That wasn't the original discussion, but we're going through that now, so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I just have one, Brent. So, were you able to minimize the amount of commercial space with any kind of ground floor residential or?
So everyone would say, why are you putting retail on West Fulton? I believe it's my responsibility as a developer to put the space there that's going to fill up eventually. Certainly there's not a prime example directly across the street that's been vacant for some time. But if we want the corridor to grow and per the U to the Zoo plan, this project is in the area that it wants mixed use. So we've buffered that on the western boundaries and the northern boundaries. We did add some residential in. Seaward's a pretty dominant street, so we felt that it did start slowing it down as you go north and west. So we've tried to find the best of both worlds. So we have 2 retail suites on Fulton and then 4 units to the westernmost and then 4 units to the north on Seaward.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Great.
Anything else? Okay. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is a resolution approving a Brownfield plan amendment for the Annex Fulton redevelopment project at 657 Fulton Street West. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support. Yes. Thank you.
All right, so this is another project that's being proposed here by Construction Simplified. So the building is just right down the road from the previous project and is currently a vacant lot. The plan is to construct 2 new 3-story buildings connected by a walkway with up to 23 apartments with a mixture of studios and 1-bedrooms and 400 square feet of commercial space, as well as 24 parking spaces behind the building. All of the units are going to be income restricted at 100% AMI, and total costs of the project are estimated at $6.1 million with construction costs of $4.4 million. The development team is seeking reimbursement for eligible activities in the amount of $959,000 solely for housing development activities, specifically potential rent loss. So similar to other projects that we've approved here, rent loss on this development was calculated by taking 120% AMI, the difference between 120 and 100 for all the units. The expected period of reimbursement to the developer is 18 years, and the plan will remain in place for 23 years for the LBRF capture. Inclusion plan numbers on this one include a goal of approximately 10% of the 4.4 million, so about 440,000 of the construction costs. And then similar to the last project, they are also seeking a 15-year neighborhood enterprise zone associated with this project that will be considered alongside this one. So now I'm going to ask Brent to come back up, and then Jared Belka from Warner on this one.
Thank you, Jess. This is a good example of persistence. I bought this property 6 or 7 years ago, long before our office directly, you see there in the rendering to the east, was ever a dream. I should have built this project when construction costs were less. What's unique is it encompasses the block to our office. Our parking lots connect behind. There is a small 1,000 square foot building that's landlocked between that I couldn't acquire. But really, it's we're trying to build this cadence marching west. Timing is obviously the previous project. This project is much smaller and quicker to realization, but it's a vacant lot right now, and it's unfortunate, but I think we finally got the economic tools in place to make this successful and get it at least constructed. My hope is that this really starts the excitement of West Fulton with everything else that's coming marching west. So.
Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone. Thank you. You get the Brent and Jared's show this morning. This was intentional. I think this just helps underscore Brent and his team's vision for the neighborhood and that natural, movement down West Fulton. But as Brent said, it is a project he's had kicked around for a while, and it's just been tough. But it is a great infill project on a vacant lot on West Fulton. Again, just to underscore the importance and the vision that Brent and his team have for the neighborhood. So happy to answer any questions. Appreciate your consideration today.
Thanks, gentlemen. Any questions or discussion?
I just have a quick question, and I was curious, I see that there's commercial included in this building. Can you talk a little bit about where that is?
So the west building, southeast corner, almost where the concrete's not in front of it, that's about a 450 square foot retail suite. The opposing side of that first floor is actually our ADA required unit, so a much larger unit, so it balanced well in floor plan. If you understood the design of this building, it's a square 52 by 52, 4 units a floor. It really is efficient in building code and design, so that made sense to balance the ADA with the NEZ required mixed use. At one point, I tried acquiring the building next door to make that the retail component, and I just couldn't make that happen.
So the entry would be up the stairs?
Yeah, so there's actually our hope. My business partner on the other project owns Adobe. We're talking of a fast casual breakfast Mexican takeout window, something a little bit unique there, just to try to start introducing some concepts. So you go up the stairs, it's kind of a patio area underneath that deck. There's a storefront entrance, but also a roll-up window is planned there.
Okay.
So.
And so the ADA access would be in the back then for the...
So all the apartment entrances are actually, there's 2 stairwells opposing each other off that courtyard as well. So all entrances to the apartments are off that stairwell. So every apartment has a private secured entrance through, I'll call it a stairwell corridor. It's much more airy and open. So there's no exterior entrances to the units here.
Cool.
So we've separated the retail from the residential entrances, just in form and function.
Yeah. Thank you. I know we're Brownfield Authority, but this is kind of a new, I guess, typology, I would say, that we haven't seen. So thank you for bringing this to us. And also, it's great to see all the infill on the Laker Line route.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item is approval of invoices documenting eligible expenses for Lofts on Grove Holdings, LLC, at 1367 Grove Place Northeast and 1359 Plainfield Avenue Northeast. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Christian?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, board members. As most of the projects that you see are on the front end, and I have the pleasure this morning of bringing a project to you that is now complete, Lofts on Grove at 1359 Plainfield. This body approved this project back in late 2022 with maximum eligible reimbursement of about $1.14 million for environmental activities, demolition, lead and asbestos abatement, site preparation, infrastructure improvements. That project, like I said, is now complete with a total investment of $25.1 million, 3,300 square feet of commercial space, 82,000 square feet of residential space comprised of 110 market rate apartments. The project also brought, there's intentionality around minority-owned, women-owned, and micro-local businesses, and brought 7 contractors to this project for a total contract amount of $1.36 million of total project costs. So the request this morning is approval of $839,090 of total eligible costs, and a current payment from this fiscal year of $155,025. Also have some photos here of the project, and I'll slide through them and invite Craig Schroeder from First Companies, and also Jared Belka, again from Warner, Norcross, and Judd. When I think of this project, I think of the break room, because my pool league used to play there. So it's with a heavy heart, because they had a lot of cool 9-foot tables. But this is an awesome project, and I'll let Craig offer some words.
Sure.
Here's some pictures, each up and down the street.
Okay, wonderful. Craig Schroeder with First Companies, representing Lost on Grove Holding. Appreciate the support and involvement in this project. It's been, similar to Brent's, I would say, a passion for years. I know I've been working on this site for probably 8 years with multiple different designs, multiple different developers throughout the time period, and finally able to turn it into a reality. So it's exciting. It is a first of its kind building of a full precast building, so all the floors are concrete, all the exterior walls are concrete. I know when we presented initially, that was kind of an exciting feature, just knowing just both fire separation as well as privacy for different tenants is always a common thread or a common comment on things. But excited to bring this one to market. Right now, we're over 80% occupancy for the residential tenants. And so it's beginning to fill up. You know, lights are shining throughout the different balconies and whatnot. And then also excited to report that we have landed a first floor commercial tenant. I believe Crane's reported on it. It was Fika, which is a Rise Bakery kind of spinoff. So wanted to be very selective on who was in there, just find something that kind of fit the community as well. So yeah, any other questions that we can answer, or Jared add?
If I could just add, I know of someone who lives in there, and they said that it's extremely quiet with the precast. So as Craig said, it was something at the time that was kind of unique, and Craig had outlined that the construction of the project would move pretty quickly through that process. But so yeah, my 2 cents. But
Looks beautiful.
I've got a question for you, Craig. Your MLB, MBE subs, can you maybe name those, and maybe I'd like to make sure that those get kind of shared with other developers.
Sure. I think we had Lot 3 Metz Crutcher was our architect of record for it, minority contractor. RLE Concrete, Modern Fire and Security, Accurate Construction, One Clean, Postma or Mod Sign, and J&M Construction. So everything from design to signage to drywall to concrete, it was kind of a blend. So I know Christian said we had 7 different contractors, and I know we didn't hit our initial goals that we were shooting for, but I would say of those 7, we had 10 proposals received, and I think it was really a testament to the market and what that was back in 2022, where contractors were busy. So just the availability of time and resources was minimal, so it maybe didn't align with different things. But I can say 2 success stories, I would say, that came out of this were we've continued to partner and do additional projects with RLE based on starting kind of relationships with this project, as well as just 2 of the different contractors were not part of the City of Grand Rapids list of minority contractors that we were able to help them get on that list to be able to be known by other contractors for other opportunities going forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation, and this is in my ward, so it's, sorry about the break room, Christian, but I think we can find some other places for you to hang out. No, I think just to be able to see a multitude of projects come on this corridor and then hopefully have that, these smaller businesses, these opportunities to connect, especially when I think about the number of like families that are coming in and out of like City High and Middle every single day, to have continued options for people to hopefully stay in the corridor and then to connect them as they're coming from like Plainfield Township and hopefully into further parts of downtown. So it's great to hear that 80%. I've seen some of the lights driving by, so I didn't know it was that high. So congrats on that. And then I think for our team, Ms. Renero, some of these pieces about maybe just the realities of being able to connect to some of the MLBE contractors, that has been a continued priority, as you know, for our city commission. And I think that sometimes we hear one thing, I think sometimes it's like, do we go really deep, or is it kind of spreading it out a little bit? But to understand what are some of the nuances, especially as we have other projects come online. So then we're really looking at this in totality and understanding where we need to work, which is probably out of the purview of this body, but we need to work upstream with other partners. We have some like Construction Allies and others to be able to identify that. So we don't lose sight of the goals, but we also recognize some of the realities. And we have been approving a lot of projects here in the city, another record year. So I just want to state that, because I think even with a change in our colleagues, it'll be a continued point of interest. So thanks for that, just a little bit of on the ground understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next agenda item is a resolution approving and recommending a second amendment to Act 381 Combined Brownfield Plan Amendment, and approving and authorizing execution of a second amendment to the development and reimbursement agreement for the Walker View project. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Take it away, Christian.
Thank you. There's a bit of history here for this Walker View project. This goes back to 2016, where the city of Grand Rapids and the city of Walker entered into a PA 425 agreement for colloquially known as a land swap. So we entered into a cooperation agreement, we, the city of Grand Rapids, with the city of Walker to enable 200 acres in Walker that are now a part of Grand Rapids to be developed for economic reasons. The project has been, from all I know, overwhelmingly successful. I believe there's 22-ish parcels there. 16 are occupied by entities such as the state police, Kent County Road Commission. FedEx is not a part of the Brownfield plan, but it's adjacent, and others there. In 2018, the public infrastructure was underway, but I believe the estimated reimbursement was going to take longer than expected. So the amount of eligible activities for what we see here that this body was involved in with a Brownfield plan amendment and a development and reimbursement, kind of subordinate to that or tandem to the PA 425 agreement, this body approved $6.2 million of eligible public infrastructure activities for what we can see here on the screen, Northridge Drive and Shippers Avenue. Those activities were complete, and this body approved those $6.2 million of eligible activities. I believe Chairperson Edwards and I worked on this years ago. I believe it was in 2019 or so that this body approved those $6.2 million of eligible activities. In 2018, we extended this agreement, the Brownfield agreement, as well as the PA 425, to give a little more time for reimbursement, because it was looking like we were going to be hitting up against that time where the PA 425 and the Brownfield approvals were going to expire. So that was the first amendment. Today we bring forward another amendment to extend the time for reimbursement for, I believe it's 4 years, and an additional $290,400 in eligible activities. And those activities are on Walker Avenue, if we look here on the picture, south of 4 Mile. And what those eligible activities are public infrastructure improvements in the right-of-way adjacent to the property, eligible under the Brownfield program, that will help the developer be able to sell an additional 3 parcels. So the initial $6.2 million of eligible activities were did not include the eligible activities that are under consideration today. I can stop there in case there are any questions about the history of the project or the request.
I just refresh my memory, but is this all happened because Walker does not have a Brownfield authority?
Correct.
We wanted to encourage in part of the property.
Yes, the City of Grand Rapids is able to reimburse for eligible activities that the City of Walker is not.
That's what I thought, but thank you.
Sure. And I do have some photos, and also with me here today is Elise Basiago from Rockford Construction, who's affiliated with the development entity, in this case, RDG Walker LLC. Just for context, just to show what, if you haven't been up there, seen the development of the industrial park. These were some of the initial public infrastructure improvements. You can see here that they were interior to the site, so the additional eligible activities that are being requested today are adjacent and exterior to the site here on Walker Avenue south of 4 Mile. And again, this was 200 acres of vacant land, as I understand it, before the City of Grand Rapids, the City of Walker, and this body all worked together to make this industrial park happen. This is where the eligible activities on Walker Avenue were installed. So we have various photos of the businesses that are there. This is Ascent Fine Cabinetry, Falk, Flexco. That's the Kent County Road Commission, State Police Building. Just for context, and it's my understanding that there's now over 1,000 jobs at the site. There is a revenue sharing agreement for the income taxes between the City of Walker and the City of Grand Rapids. All of the property taxes are being used to reimburse for the eligible activities that have been or will be installed at the site. And the nice thing about this is that we will reimburse the developer approximately over the next 10 years. We will capture for our own LBRF for the next 5 years after that. And this is all local only, no state involvement with school taxes. And then as soon as that LBRF capture for this body is complete, there's a trigger in the PA 425 amendments that the PA 425 will be done, so that when the LBRF capture for this body is complete, the land swap will be complete as well, and the property will go back to the City of Walker, and they will collect all, if they have income. I'm not sure if they have income tax, but if property taxes for sure will go back to the City of Walker, and then the project on the whole will be complete. Any other comments? No?
Just that we're very appreciative of all your help and work up here. We have 5 lots left, and it's taken a little longer than we anticipated, but we're on our way, especially with these improvements that have been able to be built out.
Very cool.
Thank you. Can you just share some of those improvements? Is it like sidewalks? Is it street work? Is it utility upgrades?
This is facing south. And then on your left here, this is all curb cuts that were put in. So on the corner, Homewood Suites is being built right now. That was sold last year. And then there's 2 to 3 other parcels within this area that are shown on this right here. Oops, wrong one.
Oops.
Okay. So sorry.
There we go.
Thank you. I want to go back. So So that's the Homewood Suites in the corner. And then here you can see lot C1, C2, C3 is where Homewood Suites is going in. And then you cut through the back there to get into C4 and C5 as well.
Okay.
So it's my understanding the city is requiring extending the turn lane, I believe, north. That's more or less the scope of it.
It's right here where my cursor is.
Yep.
All the way up to 4 Mile.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Christian, can you just remind us what's the current balance of eligible activity or eligible costs to be reimbursed?
Of the 6.2 million, we've reimbursed approximately 1.3 million, and my estimate is that we'll be able to reimburse over the next, that 4.8 million of the 6.2 million over the next 10 years or so. That will be accelerated. Our department has approved a number of IFTs, Industrial Facility Tax Exemption Certificates for Falk Flexco Ascent, some of the pictures that were in the slideshow. When those start rolling off, the property taxes are going to go up because those tax abatements will be expiring. That will accelerate the ability to reimburse, so we will reimburse even faster. The request of the additional public infrastructure improvements in context of the entire eligible activities will be probably about a half of a year of additional reimbursement. So it won't be much at the end of reimbursement of that total $6.2 million. And then again, we will capture for LBRF for another 5 years, and then everything will be done.
So with the current request for the extension, though, we'll have maxed out the reimbursement term for the developer?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is an activity report for our Environmental Site Assessment Grant Program for December 2024. Do I have a motion?
Support.
All right, Jess.
All right, so it's been a few months since you've had one of these. So we've gotten one new project, which is located at 335 and 343 Indiana Avenue Northwest. So the request is for $36,000 for a Phase 1, Phase 2, and a hazardous materials assessment. These two buildings are really old and obsolete, and so the plan by the developer is to demolish those and build a new apartment building with up to, I think, 26 units. And so just kind of help get them do some due diligence to make sure that they're able to take on the project. But we expect that this one will probably come back later on for Brownfield support and potentially maybe a neighborhood enterprise zone in the future. And then just kind of to date, so you've allocated just over $100,000 to these projects. We've paid out one so far, and I'm expecting invoices from the other ones here pretty quickly. So that just leaves $107,000, almost $108,000 for the next 6 months of the fiscal year. So you spent about half your money on 4 projects. That's great. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Jess. All right, we have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our last item is the 2025 meeting schedule. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Nothing really to add here other than this is the same 4th Wednesday of the month except for December and November, so no meeting in November and then meeting the 1st Wednesday of December as usual.
All right, any discussion on the schedule? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next item is other business. Any items? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to public comment on non-agenda items. All right, hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks so much.